Okay, so let me welcome you all here, those of you who are on Zoom with us this evening, also those of you who are on um, StreamYard with us, and we're going in quite naturally, as I mentioned to some of you just a few minutes ago. We're also broadcasting to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. And some of you today, let me first of all apologize to some of you because I was working with Mailchimp today. Started or cranked up something with Mailchimp today. I was already had an account with them, but I merged an account with them today, and then sought to send out an email to everybody that I had in that merger, which was approximately 420 some people. And unfortunately, we did get a chance to send out the communique, but the uh, the information as to where they needed to go to get online um, wasn't attached to the email. And so I worked tirelessly for several hours trying to get back on or get it situated, and couldn't get it situated, but we will get it situated as we move on into the future. So uh, hopefully many of those people that we tried to reach, we're reaching them this evening through a different um, format, or we're reaching them through, another contact uh, body, because I think that many of them were in different bodies. So anyway, long story short, we're up, we're running, and we're going to be talking tonight here really about cardiovascular problems. I really want to focus on cardiovascular problems with people. There's such a huge problem that people are having right now. Heart attacks and strokes. Cholesterol is a major problem for so many people today, and how to go about addressing these issues are a real challenge for people, and most people just don't know what to do. They've pretty much settled. They have pretty much settled for what allopathic medicine has suggested for them, particularly those that are on cholesterol. Your statin drugs are huge today, very, very huge today in terms of how many people are using statin drugs today just to try to control cholesterol, um, not realizing that cholesterol isn't really the problem itself. It's really people not getting the CoQ10 that they need when they use these statin drugs to keep the pathway open that supplies CoQ10, which is necessary in order for the heart to function properly. So plaque is building up in the arterial system of most people today because we're just not eating correctly. We're not eating properly. We're overeating in many cases, and so many people are hopeless. So what we want to do with this Wednesday night format here that we have is really try to dispel some of the propaganda that's out there, if I can use that terminology, or some of the knowledge or some of the information that's out there that's just totally incorrect as it relates to people having good health. So that's one of the issues that we want to address here with this Wednesday night health forum that we're going to be running here for the next 6 to 7 weeks. I want to go somewhere here first before I start really just talking about or going deeper into cholesterol and hypertension, diabetes, and cancer, and a number of other things that really are plaguing the public today. But before I go there, I want to talk to us about our self-image. This is so huge. This is so big when we start considering how we act, how we function. And I'm finding that this is a real issue when you start dealing with people as it relates to their health. Maxwell Maltz, some of you have heard his name before. He made a statement. He said, we act, behave, and feel according to what we consider our self-image to be, and we do not deviate from this pattern. Let me repeat that. He said, we act, behave, and feel according to what we consider our self-image to be, and we do not deviate from this pattern. And our self-image really is clocked into the subconscious chamber of our minds, of our thinking. You know, we have the conscious mind and we have the subconscious mind. And as we consider the mind in these two chambers, the image really that we have of ourselves is at the subconscious level. I mean, we look at ourselves in the mirror every day. You see the body, you don't really see you. You see your body, but you really are invisible. You know, you can't see you. You're inside this temple and you're functioning. You tell it what to do, but you really don't see you. But down at the subconscious level of the mind, and it has two chambers to it, is really where your image is. And you don't deviate from that image that you have of yourself. You know, if you don't believe that you can lose weight, you really won't. You know, if you have an image of yourself of just being heavy, you'll stay heavy. If you have an image of yourself just having hypertension and you can't shake it, you can't seem to shake it, you're going to stay there. You know, it's not until you decide that you're going to change that self-image that you have that things will change for you. What I mean by that is there's another pattern of behavior that you're going to have to subject yourself to in order to bring about the change that you are looking for. But first, it is conscious. First, you have to say to yourself and start imagining what the new person looks like. Look, I'm convinced after doing this and helping people with their health here now for 40 years or better, I'm convinced that it is just as easy for you to start building better health as it is for you to get over ill health or get over bad health. Well, how do I know that? Particularly, let's just take weight loss and weight gain. I can see, dealing just with myself, how quickly I can gain weight if I start eating the wrong foods. This just tells me, well, if that's the case, then how quickly can you turn it around? It's all based on a decision. You're making a decision. Some of you say, yeah, but I'm habitually addicted to certain foods. Well, where is the habitual addiction at? It's at the subconscious level. It's in the subconscious chamber of the mind. It's in the image that you're actually holding of yourself. So until you change that image, till you decide that you're no longer going to look the way that you're looking, feel the way that you're feeling, and until you do that, then you're going to continue to feel and look the same way. Everything is based on law that's going on in our lives. Everything is based on law. Everything, the cause and effect is the law of the laws throughout the universe. You do a thing, you're going to get an effect. You don't do a thing, you're not going to get an effect. If it's a good act, you get a good effect. If it's a bad act, you get a bad effect. That does not change. It will never change. That's the law, and that's how things have been set up on this globe. So if you want to improve, if you want to change, then the self-image has to change. Maltz also explained this. He said that the image you hold of yourself is a premise, a base, or a foundation upon which your entire personality is built. He concluded, this image not only controls your behavior, it controls your circumstances as well. So all the circumstances that's going on in your life is being controlled by it too. So behavior, what you eat, how you sleep, what you wear, where you go, all of that is predicated based on this self-image that you have. So all the circumstances and the conditions that you create is also based on this self-image. You're the only one that can change this. So I'm finding this out and have been finding this out for a very, very long time as people come to my office and sit in this office and I consult with them. First place I start is talking about the paradigm that literally has brought them into my office. The body of habits that have literally brought them into my office. A paradigm is a body of habits that's controlling just about 90 to 95% of all of our behavior. Just about all of our behavior is based on habit. We get up in the morning, we do things a certain way. We go throughout the day doing things a certain way. Whether we're going to school, whether we're going to our job, wherever we're going, whether we're going to our business, wherever we're going, we're doing things based on habit consistently. It doesn't change. It doesn't change until we decide that it's going to change. And there's many ways for us to bring about the change if we want to change. Change is not difficult for individuals or people when it's their choice. When it's not their choice, then people are very, very reluctant to change. But when we come to a certain point, a certain conclusion, we come to a certain state and we have pretty much had it. When we come to that particular place where that's it, you've had it. I can't go any further along these lines. I've got to change. It's this particular point. It's this point that you just cannot go past any longer, and you saying, okay, I've had it, and you start making the change. That's probably how it happens for most people, because the mind doesn't change unless it's shocked or either through the process of repetition. That's the only way the mind changes. Either you repeatedly subject the mind to a certain pattern of behavior or a certain internal dialogue or a certain shock. It doesn't change any way that's easier than that. It just doesn't change anyway. So what do I mean? When the World Trade Center went down, that was a huge shock for many people. It shocked people. It changed people's behavior. There's no question that the behavior changed the people when something like that goes down in their lives. So that's one way for the mind to change. That's not the way that it changes for most people. For most people, it changes based on repetition. You read a book over and over and over. You read the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And as you keep reading the same thing over and over and over and over and over, then change takes place. That's not how we're taught in school, though. In school, basically what you're taught is you read the book one time, you put it down, and they give you another book to read, and then you read that and you put it down. That's how we're taught. But that's not really how the mind changes. If you want to change the mind, you have to get a book that you are really emotionally involved with and start reading it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until the change takes place. That's how change takes place. Behavior, knowing a thing is one thing. Doing something is something altogether different. Knowing and doing are poles apart, a long way apart. So the point that I'm trying to get to, which I think I pretty much got across to you all by now, is that you have to decide what you want and then be willing to pay a price to get it. So if you want better health, it's going to cost you. And I'm not talking in terms of money, resources. It will, because you, in certain cases, but that's not the biggest cost. The biggest cost is basically in knowledge and effort, the accumulation of knowledge, and then the application of that knowledge, putting forth the effort. Do you have the will to do it? Do you have the will to do it? I know you can do it. Most people that come to this office, they have the power to do it because they're mortals, they're human beings, and you're the best thing that God has created. But the next question is, will you do it? Do you want it bad enough to pay the price to get it? Do you really want to lose some weight and keep the weight off? Do you really want to bring the cholesterol down and keep it down? Do you really want to get over cancer? Do you really want to get over a hypertensive behavior, or change your blood pressure and move it into the normal range? Do you really want to do that? And most people find it difficult because it's been so they've been using medication and drugs for so long that it's difficult for them to believe that they can get off. And they can't get off until the belief system changes. That's why these programs here, like what I'm going to be doing here on Wednesday night, each Wednesday night as we start moving on into the future, these programs here, they become very, very necessary because they act as shocks for people who really have a desire to change. And you have to shock, as I mentioned earlier. You've got the shock, you need the repetition, but you also need the shock. You have to come so often, every so often, somewhere that's going to shock you. Hear something, read something, see something that's going to shock you. That will cause you to change. That's the only way. That it doesn't happen any other way. Then you can hope, you can wish, you can say, I'm going to pray on it. You can pray on it, but if you don't get up and do something after you pray, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get any results unless you take action. That's in everything that we do. That's in everything. I don't care what you're after. I don't care what you want. If there's no behavior, there's no results. We think first, we feel, the body moves, and then it produces results. Not doing anything on its own. It doesn't do anything on its own. It only does what we tell it to do, or what our habitual pattern of behavior drives it to do, or moves it to do every day. So the question is, what are you thinking at this particular point? And do you want to change that pattern of thinking? If you change the pattern of thought, you can change the behavior. You change the behavior, you change the diagnosis. You know, I tell all these clients that come into my office that have been diagnosed with whatever it is, whether it's cancer, whether it's arthritic conditions, whether it's autoimmune disorders, whether it's hypertension. If you change behavior, you can change the diagnosis. Most people that go to doctors, basically what they get from doctors are diagnoses saying what will be the result of their behavior if they don't change, in essence. I don't know if they all the time say you got to change behavior. I don't know if they all the time say you need to drink more water. I do think I hear them say more often now that you need to exercise more. I don't hear them too much say you need to change your diet, which is the major piece. You don't hear that too often. But that's the biggest culprit. The change does not take place in the gym. The change takes place in the kitchen. If the change doesn't take place in the kitchen, then it's not a whole lot that you're going to get by being in the gym. And even if you do get some results in the gym, if you don't change what's going on in the kitchen, you're going to put those pounds right back on. The pain is not going to go away and stay away. The life is not going to change. It's just not going to get better for you. So if you want more energy, you want more vitality, those things you can have. They're extended to you. This is the best country in the world to be living in today, particularly when you start talking about food. I'm talking about from the standpoint of it's everywhere. The problem is with most of us, we eat too much of it, and we eat too much of the wrong stuff. But all of our grocery stores, for the most part, are full. We're not in any impoverished way in most of these cities in America. The problem is, for most of us though, is the food chain and how man is managing and handling the food chain. And most of us are in the dark as to what's in the food, from the herbicides, the pesticides, the industrial waste, the fillers, the dyes, all of these things that now are in the food chain are taking their toll on the health of the public. Number one killer today, cardiovascular problems. Anti-angiogenesis is a huge problem for us. What I mean is the food stuff is literally causing the arterial system to produce more, or the expansion of the arteries and the veins in the body. That's causing the problem. This is anti-angiogenesis. The vascular system. This is the vascular system that I'm talking to you about. Vascular system is the first system that's actually developing in the baby. As the baby is being born, vascular system is the first system. The science tells us about 5 days after the egg is fertilized or it starts to cling to the walls of the uterus, the first thing that we see developing is the vascular system. Arteries and veins starting to develop so that oxygen-rich blood, nutrient-rich blood can get to where it has to go in the body. So that's the first system. And most of us have seen Atlas, or we've seen the picture of the man without the clothes and the arterial system, all of the arteries and the veins and the capillaries. It's a highway in the body. And those arteries and those veins are literally carrying oxygen-rich and nutrient-rich blood to cells, organs, systems, and the entire body. And when they become congested, when plaque starts to build up in the vascular system, then the problems really start for man. And here I'm talking about males and females. The problems start. When circulation stops, death starts to come in. Circulation is life. When things stop circulating, then death starts to encroach on the life of man. So this arterial system is critical when we start talking about cardiovascular problems. Just the other day, I was sitting with someone and they were telling me about a friend of theirs. Wife is a nurse. Husband is standing in front of the mirror in the bathroom and he's just standing there. And the wife realized as he's just standing there and he's not moving, something has happened to her husband. And sure enough, as she approached him, she could see that something was wrong. They literally get him to the hospital And the hospital that they took him to couldn't really manage what was actually going on with him, but he had a stroke. And the friend that was telling me about this, after they moved him from one hospital to another hospital, by the time he got to the hospital where the person was, he was totally paralyzed on his left side. Stroke. This just doesn't happen now to just everyday people. I've had friends in the health industry, in the nutrition industry, that have had strokes. Stress becomes a factor. It's not all the time food, I don't think. I think stress also becomes that factor in the process also. And without us knowing how to manage stress, that'll keep our blood pressure high. Knowing how to manage stress, that'll keep the arterial system, this angiogenesis going on, this anti-angiogenesis going on. The arterial system now is just over producing. It's overactive. It's hyperactive. And as it becomes hyperactive, then it's producing and creating more of beyond what it needs. And it becomes complicated for us. That's the hyper side of it. Then there's a hypo side of it. There's a hypoactive part of it too that doesn't work as well either. And look, this system here, the vascular system that I'm talking to you about now, I'm talking to you about angiogenesis, that's the vascular system. That system is also an immune system. It's an immune system. So when it's not functioning properly, one of the 5 immune systems, and we're not going to talk about all of them tonight, one of the 5 immune systems in the body that should be protecting you is not protecting you now. In fact, we can say it has, I don't want to say become an enemy to you, because you would think that to be an enemy to something, you'd have to be conscious of it. But this is instinctive behavior now that is taking place as a result of a lack of knowledge on what to put into the system to make the arterial system function the way that it's supposed to. And what we're going to do here tonight, before I close out here tonight, I'm going to share some products with you. Things that you need to be doing on a regular basis, that you should be taking on a regular basis to make sure that the arterial system works and functions the way that it should. As we go on with this, and we talk more and more about food that work in these systems. And there's foods that work in all 5 of these systems that help to stimulate these systems to cause health to be in your body. But God didn't place these systems in the body not to be a help to you. They've been put in the body to keep you healthy. These 5 systems that I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you about, I'm only talking to you about this one, but this main one here tonight, it is designed to be a help to you. It is designed to keep you healthy. And if you keep the arterial system open, if you keep the vascular system open, your heart will function right, your brain will function right. These other systems, organs, and systems will function properly in the body. They will support you. They've been given to you to support you. They've been placed in the body to support you. The immune system is the most important system for man. Without that, he has no protection. He has no protection from infection. The body can't heal without the immune system working properly. And let's look at the vascular system. But as it relates not only to just hypertension, but as it relates also to diabetic conditions. When we consume too many of the carbohydrates The simple carbohydrates. Bread, wheat bread. Now I can break it down and say white bread, milled bread, cereals, donuts, cakes, pies, cookies, rolls, donuts, soda crack. We all eat these things. We all eat them. And too often we go to the extreme with them. But these are simple carbohydrates. These simple carbohydrates, when they come into the body, whether they're starch, and many of what I just shared with you are starches, and the wheat converts into a sugar, a glucose. Once it gets into the bloodstream, once that glucose starts building up in the bloodstream and it becomes too high, then the possibility of the diabetic condition becomes prevalent. Well, what do we see? What are some of the things that we see, particularly when we start talking about diabetes? Things don't heal. Things don't heal. Bruises don't heal. Cuts don't heal. And as the sugar builds up in the bloodstream and the blood becomes thicker than it should be, now that oxygen-rich blood can't get into those smaller capillaries to feed what's at the end of those capillaries, such as your toes. So too much sugar in the blood, oxygen-rich blood can't get to the toes, so they amputate the toes. Amputations are huge today. The American government would love to be able to get more people to exercise, get more people to make better conscious decisions so that they wouldn't have to pay for amputations. This is a fact. They talk about these things. We don't hear it. They talk about these things in Congress every day because they're footing the bill in most cases. If you can't afford to pay for it, the government pays for it. This is Social Security and some of the other systems that's out there, healthcare. And this is why many people are saying, well, we can't afford to just pay for healthcare for everybody. It's too expensive. This is what they're saying. But they would surely rather send you to the gym. They would rather pay for a gym membership. They do. They do it for seniors. They pay for seniors to go to the gym. Why? To stop having to pay for expensive operations. It's a fact. So learning now or learning how to eat doesn't matter how old you are. The younger you are, the better you are. But even if you have gotten up in age, you're in your 60s now, you're headed towards your 70s, your late 50s, or wherever you are. You're not looking for a diabetic condition. You're not looking to be on hypertensive drugs for the rest of your life. That's not a desire that most people have. And even though we in this country have the best hospitals than what most people have in developed countries around the world, nobody wants to stay there overnight if they don't have to. They're better staffed, they're better equipped, but nobody has a desire to go there and stay there overnight. If everybody, your basic nature tells you that you should be healthy, even if everybody else around you is sick. It doesn't tell you, well, because everybody else is sick, you ought to be sick too. Your nature doesn't tell you that. It's constructed and organized in a way that it sends a message to your mind that you should be healthy. You should be healthy. You should be happy. And believe me, look, you want to function as well as you can. Most people don't perform well if they don't feel well. I dare to say all of us are like that. When we don't feel well, we don't perform well. You've had these experiences where you don't want to get up and do anything because you got a bad vibration. You're not feeling well at all. So you say, well, I'm not getting out to bed today. I'm just laying here. I'm going to stay here because in essence, I'm not going to perform too well here today. So I ain't going to school. I'm not going to my job. I'm not going to my business. I'm not going anywhere. That's just your basic nature. We can't get around that. So these problems, so diabetes, what's the cause of diabetes? High blood sugar. Sugar, look, I'll be the first one to tell you, sugar by itself is not the problem. When you're conservative with its use, when you're frugal with its use, when you're moderate with its use, it becomes the danger, it becomes the problem, it becomes the culprit when you go to the extreme with it. If you don't get to a certain point where you start to realize, hey, I'm exceeding the limits, I'm going too far here, then sugar really poisons you. Sugar really poisons you. Sugar over the sugar level being too high in the bloodstream is a major cause of cancer. It's not just a major cause of diabetes, it is a major cause of cancer. So you can eat a donut. You know, you can eat an ice cream cone. You can do that every so often. It's not going to lead to you, having a diabetic condition. But I can tell you this. If you eat bread every day, it's going to cause a problem for you. That starch, which bread is actually made up of. You say, well, it's wheat. Yes, but it's starch. Look, these foods that we call carbohydrates today were once called starch. They were once called starch. It wasn't carbohydrate is a new term that has come into existence of later times. It was starch. It was starch, protein, and oils. Starch, protein, and fats. And they changed the name. So these starchy foods, macaroni and spaghetti and pasta, too many of those on a regular basis will cause the glucose, which is sugar, to be high in the bloodstream. And as it gets too high, then it starts to cause a problem for your pancreas. As it causes a problem for the pancreas becomes insulin resistant. Insulin is what's necessary in order for glucose to be escorted into the cell. So once the pancreas, which produces insulin, becomes resistant to the production of insulin, then the glucose stays in the blood. And as you continue to eat the starch and the sugar on a regular basis, the starch converting to glucose or sugar, and plus you're consuming sugar, sodas, and all the other stuff that you can think about in terms of sugar, that's not even to even consider your condiments that's got sugar in them, your frozen foods that's got sugar in them. I mean, all these foods, they have sugar in them. So when you start considering this, the buildup of all of this on a regular basis, and the sugar level gets high in the bloodstream, and it can't be escorted into the cell, that's when the diabetic condition sets in. That's when it sets in. And it is a big problem. And the first thing that we're taught, basically as naturopaths, that you got to get control of is the sugar. If you don't get control of the sugar, you're going to have a problem. Then you also have to, I must confess, you must also be very, very conscious of your red meat. How much red meat you consume today. Not the best thing for the gastrointestinal tract of mortals, of humans. The meat stays in the gastrointestinal tract too long. And what happens is it starts breaking down. As it starts breaking down and the body is not moving it out, it's not like your carbohydrates or your fibers. Your fibers are moving stuff through the system on a regular basis. Your fiber acts as a broom to sweep the gastrointestinal tract. But that is not what happens with animal protein. Animal protein sits. It's taking longer in terms of transit time than any other food to get through the system. And as it sits, it rots, it putrefies. Protein putrefies in the system. And as it becomes putrid in the system, then it starts poisoning the system. So if you're not using digestive enzymes to go along with your meals to make sure that foods are digesting as they should, and then being eliminated as they should, this is where the complications come in. This is where the sickness sets in with people. And most people don't use digestive enzymes with their meals. We come in here with a bank of digestive enzymes. Carbohydrates. We have lipase to digest carbohydrates, protease to digest proteins, and we got to digest our fats. Lipase to digest our fats. Lipase to digest the fats, proteins to digest the carbohydrates, amylase to digest the carbohydrates. So we come here with a bank, and we use that bank up. The fewer of the digestive enzymes we use, the more we use up that bank of enzymes. And as we get up in age and it's depleted, now the foods that we're consuming are not digesting the way that they should. So utilizing digestive enzymes is critical to help break down foods. So let's do this. Cholesterol is a huge problem for people. Being overweight is a huge problem for people. Being overweight, just look, that mid-ridge bulge, every time I see it coming, I start looking at it. I said, no, look, you got to do something about this. And then I have to look, okay, what's the cause? Well, examine the pattern of behavior. Examine the foods that you're eating. That you're going to find out what the cause is. And as you look at the cause, in most cases, it's going to be those simple carbohydrates. And a lack of digestion of those foods. So what do? Okay, you need fat to digest fat. I think you all know that, or you should know that. You need fat to digest fat. Well, how do you know that? Well, you're going to end up with oils on your skin at the end of the day or as you sleep overnight. And when you get up in the morning, you're going to have to clean the oil off your skin. Well, what do you use to clean the oil off your skin? You use soap. Well, what is the soap made of? The soap is made of fat. So that soap breaks down that fat that's mixed with sweat or whatever it is. And it's the same thing in the body. So you need lipozymes. You need lipids to regulate lipids in the body, particularly in the liver. Let me share this with you before I take you and show you what I want to show you. When the glucose builds up in the bloodstream, when the sugar builds up in the bloodstream, and the pancreas has become insulin resistant, now the insulin stays in the blood right along with the sugar. As the insulin stays in the blood with the sugar now turns into fat. The sugar that's in the bloodstream now starts turning into fat. As it turns into fat, it's being moved out of the bloodstream through the liver. This is why so many people are ending up with a fatty liver today. It's the carbohydrates really that's causing the problem. It's not the fat. It's the sugar that's converted into fat that's moving through the portal vein to the liver that ultimately causes the fatty liver, which is the fastest growing disorder, liver disorder in the world today. Fatty liver. So I want you to understand that so that you can get an understanding on what fat is doing, what fat is doing actually to the liver. And the liver produces your cholesterol. Well, what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a fat. But it produces high density lipid proteins, the liver. Your low density lipid proteins, most of them are coming in from foods from outside. And it's the low density lipid proteins that cause the problem. So you need to be producing high density lipid proteins to get rid of the low density lipid protein. But those low density lipid proteins, what are they doing? Because they play a role too. They're really there to patch up the arterial system. Oh, this is really something. They're there to patch up the arterial system. But what happens when doctors go in and they check your total cholesterol? They're looking at the high density lipid proteins and the low density lipid proteins, and they say your total cholesterol is 250, or your total cholesterol is 150. Or they'll just come out and say, your total cholesterol is high. So what we need to do is put you on Lipitor. We're going to put you on some other type of statin drug. And that's what they do. But the low density lipid proteins, what are they there for? Because the arterial system has now developed the plaque, or the plaque, when they look in there, they say, well, this is plaque. Well, basically, those are low density lipid proteins, really, that's healing or repairing the arterial system. That's what it's doing. But they look at it and they say, well, that's plaque building up in there. And now your liver is producing high density lipid proteins. So now the total cholesterol is high. And they say, okay, so we got to put you on the statin drugs. When they put you on the statin drugs, now they start closing down the pathway of the CoQ10, which needs to be functional in order to offset the possibility of heart attacks. This is a fact going on every day. So time is running on us. So let me share something with you to help you with your cholesterol. First of all, your lipo. Now they can't see. Can they see the lipo from where they at, Jamaica? Can they see lipo? Can you show that to them online here? Or what do I need to do with you? And Jamaica is on working with me on StreamYard. And again, I say to those of you who are on the line, we're also broadcasting on Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn, in addition to those of you who are online here. So, and I'm sharing, am I sharing with you right now? Let me see. Uh-oh. Okay, y'all still got me? Yeah. Okay, can I get out? What's this? Let me see if I can, you are screen sharing. I am. So can you get to me, Jamaica? Or can I open up down here and go myself? And they see it from up here. Let me see. Here. DR. No. I think because I'm still sharing with you, it's not allowing me. Oh, wait a minute. You can't do it from over there, Doc. That's the reason why. And then you all tell me if you all can see this screen. Can you? Okay, so Aman, can you see this screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so let me open this up. And so this is my website where I've got about 20-some products on this site. And the one that I want to introduce you all to is this one here called Lipo Balance. And this here, let me see if I can move this over. Okay. Digest fats better and maintain blood lipid levels with lipobalance. For many people, fats are a challenge to digest. So they're not eating. The fats are the hardest food to digest. That's the other factor here. Takes more to digest fats than anything else. That's a problem because it's increasingly difficult to avoid the high fat, high cholesterol foods that characterize the modern diet. Our LipoBalance supplement is an answer to this problem. Every dose includes a variety of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, and extracts, formulated to help your body better digest fats and reduce the digestive discomfort that is frequently associated with high fat foods. And incidentally, when you got these high-fat foods, that also causes congestion in the pancreas. So fats also, they block those cells that have to open up to let the glucose in to the pancreas. So that's another factor there when you start talking about the diabetic condition. So digesting your fats are critical. making sure that you're digesting your fats. So daily, if you got a problem already with cholesterol, and if you don't have a problem with cholesterol, you need to be taking something every day that's going to help you digest your fats. I take digestive enzymes. Connie and I take digestive enzymes every day with our meals. And our children know that we've been doing it for years, for ages. Well, what are these digestive enzymes? What do? They digest fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And then I have some digestive enzymes, and all of this that I'm sharing with you all are manufactured for me. These are manufactured under my name that I'm sharing these with you. All of these products that I'm sharing with you. I've been doing this for 30 years, 30, 40 years, eating this way with all my meals, all my big meals. I may sometimes snack and not have digestive enzymes, but for the most part, I don't eat without digestive enzymes because I don't rely on my body to digest these foods. It doesn't have that bank anymore that it had when I was young. I used it all up. And if I would have been wiser earlier in my life, before I got into my 40s, late 40s or early 40s or late 50s, I'd probably have more vitality and more energy than what I have now. Because those enzymes are what's necessary in order for the body to work properly, for you to be energized. Look at what's in here. Vitamin E is an essential fat-soluble nutrient that acts as a powerful antioxidant in the body. In addition to mitigating oxidative stress, which leads towards cancer, though, vitamin E can also protect against some forms of heart and liver disease. A review of 18 studies in 2019 show that vitamin E can reduce triglyceride. Well, where's the triglycerides coming from? Again, that's those simple carbohydrates, the potato chips, the corn chips, the French fries. That's where it's come. That's where the triglycerides are coming from, and low density lipid cholesterol, the bad kind, prevalent in the blood. Other studies have demonstrated that vitamin E could reduce the presence of inflammation associated with liver enzymes and reduce blood lipid levels. This can help reduce the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Chromium picolinate, has been researched for its weight loss and hunger-reducing properties. And research shows some promise in its ability to reduce certain forms of food cravings. The largest benefit appears to be in people suffering from depression, related food cravings, and binge eatings. Chromium supplementation is also associated with low blood sugar, particularly in people with diabetes. It's difficult for our bodies to absorb chromium from foods we eat, though, and our bodies can't produce it. That's why most people who need additional chromium supplement it, meaning that they're taking it from something from outside. Lipase. Lipase is the primary enzyme responsible for digesting of fats, and it's present throughout our gastrointestinal tract and in the bloodstream. Lipase does most of its work in the small intestines, where secreted bile salts make it easier for the enzyme to extract the triglycerides inside the fat. These triglycerides are transported to various tissues like the muscles, where they can be broken down for metabolic processes. With additional lipase, your body will have more resources to break down and properly process the fats you consume. And what am I saying to you? These things here offset the possibility of heart attacks and strokes. They offset the possibility of diabetic conditions. They help offset the possibility of weight gain. And there's more stuff in here. Polysaccharidic enzyme blend, protease enzyme blend, Carcinia, Cambogia fruit extract, Gugelritzen extract, bladderwrack. These are all known nutrients that man has been using for the longest. Garlic, lecithin, artichoke, rice bran, antioxidant blend, all in just in this one product. Just this one product. Now I'm going to show you another one here before we come out of here. And this one is designed, and the one that I just showed you complements it. It goes along with it. But this is this one here, Balance Time Plus. And I'm sharing this with you. Look, supports healthy weight management with Valentine Plus. Now, I have been doing these workshops for ages. Never took most of you to these to the site. Some of you have been online with me for a long time, years. Some of you, maybe some of you out there on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and X right now, maybe this is your first encounter with me. I don't know. But the people here online, some of these people here online, they've been knowing me, well, some of them all their life. I got a sister on here and I got a daughter on here too. They've been knowing me all their lives. And I haven't pushed up on them to say, look, these are things that you should be taking unless they've had a problem with their health. And they've literally come to me, not me really going to them. In many cases, they've come to me and asked me, what do I have? So this here, Genesis Balance Time Plus, supports healthy weight management. When part of a regimen that includes exercise and a healthy diet, Balance Time Plus can support weight management efforts. Every dose includes digestive enzymes, minerals, and plant extracts formulated to improve micronutrient digestion and reduce appetite. The Balance Time Plus works best with a digestive enzyme supplement like our Lipo Balance formula. So these two go together. What's included in every dose of Balance Time Plus? Each dose of Balance Time Plus is packed with gut, liver, and pancreas support, along with minerals and plant extracts that can help control the appetite. Here's what you find inside Balance Time Plus. Iodine, derived from bladderwrack. Iodine is an essential nutrient that our bodies cannot produce. Iodine is prevalent in seafood, dairy, and eggs, but some people still suffer from iodine deficiency. That can make effective weight management difficult, as our thyroids require iodine to produce thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones exert a lot of control over the body, including factoring into metabolism. Weight gain is common in people who have lower iodine levels, and Balance Time Plus is designed to counter that or this deficiency. Chromium, here again. Plantain leaf. This isn't the starchy banana-like fruit, but a weed that grows throughout Europe and Asia. Plantain leaves and seeds have been used in medicine for centuries, and they remain popular choice for people with inflammatory conditions. That's because plantain leaf is brimming with anti-inflammatory compounds, including flavonoids, glycosides, terpenoids, and tannins. Together, these compounds can help with various conditions, including inflammatory bowel disease, Diarrhea, inflammatory bowel disease is huge today, you all. Diarrhea and other digestive disorders. Plantain leaf has even been shown to slow the growth of some cancer cells. Stinging nettle, cordyceps, mushrooms extract. I use mushrooms every day, you all. I've got a mushroom supplement. It's got 14 different mushrooms in it. It works in all 5 of the immune systems in the body. I use it every day. It's in a nano form, and it's a liquid. I just drop it under my tongue. Oh, a liposome, pardon me. It's in a liposome. I drop it right under my tongue, and it goes right into the bloodstream every day. Fenugreek seed, digestive enzyme blend. So this will help you lose weight, in addition to using also the lipobalance. They suggest that you use these 2 together. It's my suggestion that you use these 2 together, and they help you lose your weight. But look at the other things that they do. It's going to start protecting you from diabetes, start protecting you from cancer, start protecting you from hypertension. It's just so many things. Look, and let me say this in closing out. I was having discussion the other morning at prayer with some of the brothers, and we were talking about the South and the way people thought in the South about their health long before there were drugstores, long before there were pharmaceutical places for you to go and get drugs and pharmaceuticals. Long before that, our people were going out into the woods and getting these things that I'm sharing with you right now and putting them in a pot and boiling them up and serving them to us. And as the weeks go on, I'm just going to show you more products and more nutrients that they have been using for ages. This knowledge doesn't come from right here in America. This knowledge comes off the African continent. This knowledge comes out of the Far East. That's where this knowledge is coming from. It ain't coming from the West for the most part. The West is into pharmaceuticals and drugs. They use these things, these compounds that come out of the earth, the bark, the roots, the berries, the fruits. They have to use these things in order to produce drugs and pharmaceuticals. They don't know where else do they get the drugs and pharmaceuticals from? They don't come out the air. They're coming from out underneath our feet. The plant kingdom. The kingdom of the hydrogen kingdom. The water kingdom. That's where it's coming from. The lithosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. And you got to use oxygen too. So I'm going to stop here. And anybody have any questions? We'll take some questions before we close out here this evening. And I think, I don't know, can people connect with us, Jamaica, from off those platforms? Can they ask questions? Or what do I need to do with you? Let me see. I think I done took you off the... no. Edit, shared screen, name, save. No, that's not it. Okay, so can they reach us? I think you're on.
Yes, sir. Anyone on YouTube can just comment. I'm checking the comments now.
Oh, okay. Anybody on Zoom have any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Anthony
Sure.
Abdul Haq.
That red meat specifically pretty much turns into like a carcinogen because of the way that it decomposes in the amount of time it takes to digest, right? But you also said that animal products share a similar behavior, but you didn't specify. You specifically mentioned red meat. So does red meat have like a highest digesting time compared to like fish, eggs, or like chicken?
The transit time. The transit time moving through the system is much slower than your eggs or your fish or your chicken for red meat. And then as it breaks down, then it will putrefy. What's the biggest problem? The biggest problem is it just doesn't move expeditiously through the system for people.
Right.
And that's yeah.
Do they all putrefy at the same rate, or is red meat the highest one?
Well, no, other proteins too. I mean, chicken can too. Fish can too, if it stays in the system long enough, if it just doesn't move through the system. See, the whole idea, that meal that you're eating today, you want that meal gone out of your body in at least 12 to 24 hours. That's not what. Say again?
You said you needed proto-dietetics?
Pro-digest. Pro-digest. Let me show you this. Pro-digest. Okay, so, and this is to help in the digestion of your foods. This product here, Pro-digest, contains enzymes. The enzymes your body needs for proper digestion. Our bodies rely on a huge variety of enzymes to properly process micronutrients and ensure that they are effectively absorbed by the intestines. So you need digestive enzymes along with your meals to break down. And look at what it says. Let me skip down here. Digestive enzyme deficiency can make it difficult for the gut to do this well. And inefficient digestion is what often leads to gas, bloating, and pain, the kind of symptoms no one wants to live with. Pro-digest is formulated to replenish your body's supply of these critical digestive enzymes, bringing your gut back into balance. That's what it does. And I think I lost Jamaica. I think Jamaica had to go. She probably had to feed her kids. She's been on the line here with me. Yeah, so, but lipase, amylase, these are the things that's going to digest the proteins and the carbohydrates and the fats. So so I take these with every meal. I don't eat without taking Pro-digest. So it takes the weight off of my body to digest the food. Because I don't really have in that enzyme bank what I once had for digestion.
I want to ask you a little bit about how it was made, but I feel like it's not really informative. It's just kind of intricate. So maybe I'll just ask you tomorrow.
Sure. Any other questions? I know Mika had somebody on Facebook, but she had to leave. She had to go. So any other questions by anybody that's online with us here? Okay, so we will be back online. All goes well, God willing, next Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. And we'll look forward to you all being online with us next week. Invite somebody to the call. I'm surprised. We sent quite a number of invitations out to a lot of people here tonight. So we'll see, but this is new. 7:30 on. We're thinking 7:30 on Wednesday night is a good time. I'm not so sure. We're going to see. So anyway, but people got back in touch with me, so we'll see what's going to happen. So if no other questions, we're done for this evening. I look forward to, thanks for coming to the call. Look forward to talking to you all next week as we go on with this series here over the next 6 to 7 weeks. So may Almighty God bless you all. I look forward to talking to you all again. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, thanks, Imam. Assalamu alaikum.
You're welcome. Alaikum salam. Oh, you still there, Jamaica? You back? What did I do?
I've hit the end.
Okay.
Hit the
Was
end.
anybody on there for questions?
Someone
Was anybody on
commented, Anthony Abdul,
Yeah. What did he say?
but he was just sending a greeting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're still on live,
All right,
Doc.
I'm gonna kill the stream. Yeah.